Hey guys, it's Arrow. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about the Legacy of Phrecia event, my plans, and what I'm going to be starting. So let's jump right into it. So my league starter is going to be Surfcaster Lightning Trap Self-Chill. I have long believed that Lightning Trap is an underrated trap skill as it provides significantly better clear than just about every other trap at no investment. The skill is viable from level 12 when you put it on, and for basically no gear, you can take it all the way through to Eater and Exarch, get all 4 of your Void Stones, and clear maps. So we're going to talk about the pros and cons of the build, but first I want to tell you guys I am starting a subathon tomorrow for the launch of Legacy of Phrecia. Make sure to stop by my Twitch, twitch.tv/AER0__. Drop that Twitch Prime, or even just say hello. We've done a few of these in the past and they're super fun, so make sure you stop by. So why Lightning Trap now? The Surfcaster brings a lot to the table that makes what I think would be a good league starter into a great league starter. It's going to have good clear, good single target, great speed, and okay defenses, which are the things that I tend to look for on a league starter. I want to go fast, I want to get through maps, I want to get into endgame content quickly, I want to get my 4 Void Stones, and this build can easily do all of that. One of the things that I'm looking for in a league starter in this particular event is an all-around build that can kind of do a bit of everything, sort of a jack of all trades but master of none, because we don't know what the endgame is going to look like. I want a build that could boss if I wanted to, or do expedition, or boss Russian maps, or do breaches. We have no idea what's going to be strong because the entire endgame has been revamped into the idol system. Idols look super interesting and very cool. I'm super excited for all the things that they're adding, and playing a build like this is going to allow me to kind of do whatever I want. So what about Surfcaster makes Lightning Trap go from good to great? Well, everything about it. The first node that we get access to is Ghost of the Deep. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's going to give you 30 move speed. It'll give you attack speed for shield charge and a little bit of extra damage. It's going to make getting through the campaign very, very quick. Now, my good buddy Captain Lance arrived on his copium train and let me know that he believes that the Fairgraves Tricorn is going to stack with the Surfcaster Ascendancy node Ghost of the Deep. I don't know if I believe this, but if it is true, we are going to be flying. Now, it is a trapper, so cast speed doesn't actually help, but the endgame version of this build does want cast speed because we are going to be using the Slave Driver's Hands. These gloves make it so increases and reductions to cast speed apply to your trap throwing speed. These gloves also give you a little bit of endurance charge generation and the ability to get really nice corruptions like +1 frenzy or spell crit. So of course we all like to go fast, but number 2, 100% of your lightning damage is converted to cold, and your cold damage can shock from the node Stormy Seas. This node is insane. It's basically both of your Call of the Brotherhood rings, except it allows all of your cold damage to shock as well. This node is incredibly powerful, and there's going to be a lot of builds that use it just for the cold damage can shock. They're not even going to use the conversion. But Lightning Trap has really, really nice coverage. You're going to be freezing enemies off screen, which is an incredible form of defense. The next node that I'm super excited about is Changing Seasons. This node is basically Call of the Void and Winterweave put together. You get all damage taken from hits can chill you, and the effective chill on you is reversed. Reversing the effective chill gives you up to 30% increased action speed, which is the strongest source of action speed increases in the game. Action speed is an increase to your cast speed, attack speed, and movement speed, and all other animations that you can think of, like trap throwing speed, totem placement speed, etc. All of your animations are going to be 30% faster if you can max chill yourself, which we'll be doing with a Forbidden Right trigger wand, because Forbidden Right technically hits you. Now, normally you can't get into self-chill until you have Leaf Shade and a 4-second trigger wand, which you can only get from the temple. Now that's going to be challenging to do. However, with an 8-second trigger wand, which you can craft as early as level 60, and 2 Nameless rings alongside of Leaf Shade, you'll be able to get an 8-second chill on yourself that will allow you to blast much earlier than you would have been able to before. I'm not sure what Nameless rings are going to cost, so make sure that you keep an eye on that, and how hard they are to access is going to decide whether or not I go for that 3rd or for my 4th Ascendancy. Speaking of 4th Ascendancy, we'll be taking Glacial Wave. This is going to give us less damage taken and more damage done to enemies. This is the only defensive node on the Ascendancy, and it's not that much. However, for a league starter, I'm not looking for a Giga Tank. I'm trying to go fast, kill bosses, and clear maps. So why shouldn't you play this build? You shouldn't play this build if you are looking for the strongest build of the league. There are going to be builds like Power Siphon Locust Mines and Lightning Strike that are going to be very strong. But if you are looking to do something a little bit different, something that is enabled by one of the new Ascendancies, you can join me on this journey. I didn't want to just take something that was already really powerful and just throw it onto a powerful Ascendancy. I wanted to try to build something that was only truly possible with one of the new Ascendancies, and this Lightning Trapper perfectly fits the bill for me. I love cold damage, I want to go super fast, and I want to be able to do some of all content for when the market inevitably decides that certain things are really strong and you need to go farm those things. I'd say the biggest downside of this build is that it is not super tanky, but it is designed to be a blaster. You're going to be running and shield charging at incredibly high speeds, which means projectiles are not going to hit you very often. We also have evasion, we have some block, and we have freeze. When you combine all of those sources, you pretty much don't get hit very often, which means you just want a decently sizable pool of life and ES. And then we have Ghost Shrouds on top of that, so when we do get hit, we recover some ES. This is a playstyle that I've played a million times. It is my favorite way to play the game. I don't need to be a Giga Tank. I don't need to be able to tank Shaper Slams, because I can just get out of the way with my 250 move speed. So let's jump in quick and run through the POB, but please note that this is going to be changing up until launch, because I'm trying to fine tune and tweak things. So make sure that you come back right before launch. Stop by my stream, twitch.tv/AER0__, and remember I'm doing a subathon, so come by and say hi, and make sure that you have the most up-to-date POB. Also, because this is a new build that I have not fully played before, there may be some tweaks that I make during the league that you're going to want to keep an eye on. I'll definitely put out another video with some updates and changes that I make. All right, real quick, let's check out the POB. Please keep in mind, this is not perfect. This is what I have so far, and I'm going to be making some updates as I figure out some smoother ways to do this. But this is the basic version of the build. We are on a 5-link. This is a level 90 tree. 5-link with Lightning Trap of Sparking. You're going to start with regular Lightning Trap, so you can just tick this as long as you're going to be using that instead. Lightning Trap of Sparking is more damage. Now we have a 21 in here because you actually don't need any quality, so getting a 21 is much easier. You just buy these up, get them to 20, and corrupt them. So no quality on any of our gems. We have most things unticked here, things like Immortal Call. We have a Vitality Arrogance setup that I'm not sure I'm going to use yet. Things like Sigil of Power and Bear Trap that'll only be up on single target, but you will have these things up. Even a level 1 Sigil of Power is worth it because flat added damage is super strong. So you're not going to spend enough mana to get it to the higher stages, but you press it at the beginning of the fight for 11% more damage. It's worth it. Take a quick look at our items. Of course, our flasks are off. We're going to be super, super fast when we have these ticked. So for mapping purposes, we're at 191% move speed with some very, very basic gear. Everything in here is going to be rares at the start. The mods on this wand are just to give you an idea of what you want. You want increased damage, you want multi, you want gem levels, and then you want to get that trigger a socketed spell for your Forbidden Right. The shield, these are the things you're really looking for. You can also go for levels of gems. Those tend to be a little bit more expensive, but block and life are super important just to help keep us alive. So all of these rares are pretty straightforward. We have nameless rings here. It's important to get that minus mana cost, but this mana regen I actually think I'm going to remove because I thought of some new tech that we're probably going to use. So early on, you're going to need some mana regen. You can use things like Clarity, but once you have a 4-second wand, you're going to use the 10% of damage taken recouped as mana. Recoup takes 4 seconds. When you take damage, you're going to recover mana over those 4 seconds, and then you're going to trigger it again, which means that you don't really need any mana recovery outside of this, because you're going to be hitting yourself every 4 seconds and giving yourself more recovery than you need. I have not tested this yet because I'm not in the end game, but I am almost positive this is going to work. If it does not, you can go back to using mana reservation efficiency of skills here, which in the early game you're going to want, and then just put on a low level Clarity like I have in here. Get yourself 60, 80 mana, and then this amount of mana regen should be enough with some mods on your rings. So nothing too exciting going on in this gear. It's just basically, here's what you need. Get res wherever you can, because we're all rares at the start. It's going to be super easy to get that res cap. As far as the bandit goes, a Lyra is always great, but because we have so many rares, I actually don't know that we need it. However, Kraken is 8% move speed, which is going to get boosted by 30% because of our action speed. So Kraken may be the move. If you want to zoom, that is definitely going to be the way to go. But if you're worried about not being able to get resists on gear, you can go for a Lyra. So we have a couple of different loadouts here. So we have our basic loadout. I'll probably change the name of this default. And we have our endgame swap here. In the endgame setup here, I have some aspirational gear. Some of this is going to be crazy expensive, but it's just going to show you the type of things that you want to get. So we do have some super aspirational gear on here. Let's start with the only really, really expensive item, and that's going to be a wand that looks like this, with Tormented Spirits on it. Tormented Spirits is going to be very expensive. It uses power runes. There's definitely guides out there on how to make a +2 wand like this, and you can actually go for 2 of these in the end game. You're going to have so much cast speed that Frostblink will be instant. So if you decide to go that route, we can put 2 of these on, and then in the calcs, we can add the extra boost that you get from the Tormented Wands, and you can see this damage number goes up to 40 million. So 300 move speed without a Mage Blood and 40 million damage. It's going to be expensive to get these Torment Wands, but if you do play this and you want to push it to the end game, that's the way to do it. Other things, a +1 power charge Heat Shiver is going to be a ton of damage, +1 Frenzy on a Slave Drivers, or you can get Spell Crit. The endgame amulet is going to be the Replica Dragon Fang's Flight for Lightning Trap. I imagine this is going to be fairly cheap, as it usually is, but because I'm putting out a video, who knows? The rings and belt are nothing exciting. You're going to want to get a Bottled Faith in the endgame. That extra regen from Consecrated Ground is really going to help. Watcher's Eye, Light of Meaning, and then let's talk about Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame. I currently have Born in the Shadows in here, but what is so exciting about the Shadow Ascendancy and this particular build is just about everything that you can get on these 3 Ascendancies is powerful. We don't crit, so we can't use Mistwalker, unfortunately, because our traps are not us. We can't get the crit from that, but you can use Unstable Infusion to help you get to crit cap. You can use Deadly Infusion for more damage. You can use Opportunistic for a bunch more damage on single targets and a little bit of damage reduction while mapping, which is super nice. You can go for Polymath for huge damage, Swift Killer for huge damage, and more throw speed. One Step Ahead does not work with our action speed, so do not use this. Escape Artist is going to give us a bunch of evasion and energy shield. Spellbreaker you can use to help you give you recovery and more spell suppress. Even Harness the Void is going to be a bunch of damage because we're converting from lightning to cold, which means we're going to get each one of these rolls twice. Over on Saboteur, we have Born in the Shadows, which is huge defense. Explosive Expert is good damage, provided that the enemies are burning, shocked, and chilled. So you have to make sure you get a little bit of fire damage. You could use Chain Reaction if you really want to get those trap triggers. And then you could use Pyromaniac. I imagine Pyromaniac's going to be kind of expensive, but this one's super good. It's going to give you a ton of regen and shock and ignite immune, which you definitely are going to need for your Forbidden Rite setup. Now, because we are on the subject, let's talk about Leaf Shade. It gives you 100% more duration of ailments on you. That means an ignite is going to last forever, so you really do want to get ignite immune. Shock immune is pretty easy. We get the charge mastery for cannot be shocked while at maximum power charges. We're always going to be at max because of charge traps, so this is a no-brainer. We have shock immunity, but ignite has to be solved in a different way. If you use a unique ring, you can get an ignite immunity implicit. You can use Abyss Jewels to get up to 50% chance to avoid being ignited. You get 2 of these perfectly rolled, you're done, or you can get 3 if your rolls are not perfect. Very important to note, do not get ailment immune. If you get ailment immune on this build, then your self-chill does not work. So do not get generic ailment immunity. Do not use Purity of Elements. It will brick the build. If you decide to go for the Soul of the Brine King Major God, make sure that you do not get the 50% reduced effective chill on you. That will also brick your self chill. So there are also trees for leveling. I've tried to simplify it as much as possible. This early game stuff I did test, and I did it into the 40s without even getting an Ascendancy, and it feels really nice. Lightning Trap is a fantastic leveling skill, and you really don't need much gear to make it feel great. Because we're going to switch into the critical setup very early, you could look out for things like Axiom Scepters to get big boosts to your crit, but you really don't need much gear to get going in the story. So make sure that you check out all these leveling trees. Again, this is not a perfect guide for me. I'm kind of throwing this together last minute, but I did my best to make it as thorough as possible. So I'm going to wrap it up there. If you have any questions, make sure you stop by my Twitch, twitch.tv/AER0__. Come say hi, drop a Twitch Prime. Don't forget, we are doing a subathon starting tomorrow with the Legacy of Phrecia launch. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. I am super excited, and I can't wait to see you over there. So thank you for watching, and as always, take care.